It's a book that addresses one of the big issues of our time, but the mainstream journals won't review it, Amazon won't accept advertising to promote it, companies like Target were bullied into withdrawing it. The book is Irreversible Damage, the transgender craze seducing our daughters by Abigail Shrier. Abigail Shrier says that according to the literature, there was no record of girls aged 11 to 21 ever having developed gender dysphoria at all. Obviously that has changed. There's been a dramatic surge of adolescents reporting gender dysphoria and self-identifying as transgender. She says this: but the phenomenon sweeping teenage girls is different. It originates not in traditional gender dysphoria, but in videos found on the internet. It represents mimicry inspired by internet gurus, a pledge taken with girlfriends, hands and breath held, eyes squeezed shut. For these girls, trans identification offers freedom from anxiety's restless pursuit. It satisfies the deepest need for acceptance, the thrill of transgression, the seductive lift of belonging.
About the science now, though.
So I will say this. And I honestly mean this. I think we owe a great debt of gratitude to science. Science has, in many ways, helped ease the suffering of this pandemic, which was more than likely caused by science.
Well, what do you mean by it? Do you mean like there's a chance that this was created in a lab, there's an investigation?
A chance?
Here,
there's a novel respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan novel respiratory coronavirus lab. The disease is the same name as the lab. Show me your business card. Oh, I work at the coronavirus lab in Wuhan. Oh, because there's a coronavirus loose in Wuhan. How did that happen? Maybe a bat flew into the cloaca of a turkey and then it sneezed into my chili and now we all have coronavirus. The only coronavirus we have is in Wuhan.
Yes.
Where they have a lab called, what's the lab called again, Stephen?
The Wuhan Novel Coronavirus Lab.
I believe that's the case.
And we take everything that we're seeing today and we put that against that backdrop and say, does this make sense? Are we following the science?
Academics and reality is two different things. So we're just presenting our data and our opinion as medical professionals in this community.
These are things that will affect them for a lifetime, not for a season. Alcoholism, anxiety, depression, suicide. Suicide is spiking. Education has dropped off. Economic collapse. If we follow the science, as we've been asked to do, I'm following the science. This data is generated by the CDC, World Health Organization. The testing is generated by what we have done here. So we are following the science. Again, I'm going through the numbers. I'm not saying who's wrong or right. I'm going through the science and through the numbers. And I, like you, have been watching media and studying this for 2 months, night and day.
Anytime you have something new in the community, the medical community, it sparks fear. And I would have done what Dr. Fauci did, so we both would have initially. For the past 6 to 8 weeks, we've crippled the economy. There's a lot of domestic issues going on. Is social isolation warranted for the healthy?
Joining us with her thoughts on the emails and the censorship is none other than New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. Miranda, welcome back to KUSI.
Thank you, Paul. It's so nice to be with you.
Anything big happening at the paper since we last chatted? You're at the focus of the world right now.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, the most extraordinary thing is the reaction of social media to our story. And the fact that Facebook and Twitter both yesterday conspired to censor our story just tells you that they are in the Biden camp, A, and B, that our story frightens them.
And the fact, I mean, let's not overlook the fact that the mainstream media, all the national newscasts, neglected to mention the story. And they didn't show the same concern, say, when the Atlantic report on Trump came out or the tax documents were obtained. There seems to be a different rule book for different candidates, does there not?
There is, and this is the hypocrisy, and you really see it with the big tech oligarchs. So Facebook and Twitter had absolutely no problem, as you said, 2 weeks ago with Donald Trump's leaked tax returns. They had absolutely no problem when CNN played audio recordings of private conversations that Melania Trump had had. No problem with the entire Russia collusion stuff, the hoax that was perpetrated by the New York Times and the Washington Post, etc. And no problem at all with the Steele dossier when BuzzFeed was spreading that everywhere, that, you know, is shown to be utter nonsense and was utter nonsense on the face of it. So much of journalism is publishing so-called unauthorized material that other people don't want you to have. There's no apology for us publishing actual emails from Hunter Biden's laptop, which show that his father, quite contrary to his protestations that he knows nothing about Burisma, knows nothing about his son's business dealings overseas, emails show that Hunter Biden arranged a meeting for his father with one of the top executives at Burisma.
They said we didn't have time for witnesses. We had to get it done before Christmas because we wanted it done and ready to go for the election. The great irony is they did exactly what they accused the president of. They used the government and the government's process to go after their political opponent. We had, for the first time in our history, a secret court decide to investigate a campaign. The FBI has now been proven to have lied 17 times. We've got a half a dozen people at the top level of our intelligence community who have admitted to having extreme bias. You got Peter Strzok and Lisa Page talking about taking down the president, having an insurance policy against him succeeding and becoming the president. These are the people who plotted to bring the president down. These are the people who continue to plot to bring the president down. Are you aware that the House Intelligence Committee staffer, Sean Misko, had a close relationship with Eric Ciaramella while at the National Security Council together? Are you aware, and how would you respond to reports that Ciaramella and Misko may have worked together to plot impeaching the president before there were formal House impeachment proceedings? Now, why did I ask this question? Because there are news reports saying these two people, one of them who works for Adam Schiff and one of them who worked with this person at the National Security Council, that they knew each other and had been overheard talking about impeaching the president in the first month of his office. In January of 2017, they were already plotting the impeachment. They gamed the system in order to try to bring down the president. We should know about that. If they had extreme bias going into the impeachment, we should know about that. These people also knew the Vindman brothers, who are still in government. So you got two Vindman brothers over there who know Eric Ciaramella, who also know Sean Misko, who also knew two other people working on Adam Schiff's staff. And Adam Schiff throws his hands up and says, I don't know who the whistleblower is. I've never met him. I have no idea who he is. So how am I prevented from asking a question when nobody seems to admit that they even know who this person is?